Do you believe in destiny, or do you believe in coincidence? July 19th, 2026, a 39-year-old legend and a 19-year-old phenomenon walk into the same stadium. Lionel Messi wears number 10. Lamine Yamal wears number 19. The match is played on the 19th day of the month, and 19 calendar years have passed since the now famous 2007 charity photograph in which a young Messi was pictured with Yamal as a baby. But that is only the first door. In numerology, 19 reduces to 10, and 10 reduces to 1. 1 is the number of the ruler, the pioneer, the first name written at the beginning of a new chapter. Yet the complete date of this final reduces to 9. 9 is the last single digit. It is completion, release, the closing of a circle, and the moment an old story must finally reveal its ending. 1 and 9, a beginning hidden inside an ending. So what are we really watching? Is this the night the old king receives his final crown? Or is the number 19 opening the gates for a new ruler to enter? Messi is the life path one who spent 2 decades being forced to become number 1. Yamal is the life path 2 surrounded by a violent pattern of 19/1 energy. Messi arrives carrying the symbolism of completion. Yamal arrives carrying the symbolism of initiation. Between them stands the World Cup trophy, shining like the final object in a ritual neither player consciously chose. Tonight, we are not going to read this final like an ordinary match preview. We are going to follow the numbers as if they were footprints. We will decode the birth dates, the personal cycles, the match day, the shirt numbers, the names Argentina and Spain, and the mysterious number 19 that keeps returning no matter where we look. This is symbolic storytelling, not science or betting advice. Football still belongs to the players, the tactics, and the moment. But if numbers can mirror the shape of a human story, this final has one of the strangest mirrors we have ever seen. Picture the stadium just before kickoff. The lights are burning above the pitch. The trophy is waiting in the tunnel of cameras. On one side, supporters are holding the colors of a country that wants to preserve a reign. On the other, supporters are singing for a team young enough to believe history can be interrupted without permission. The official clock sees 90 minutes. Numerology sees a collision between cycles. That is why the emotional center of this final is not simply age against youth. Age and youth meet every season. This is completion against initiation. Messi does not need another match to prove he existed. Yamal does not need permission to begin. Yet both arrive at the exact point where one man's final meaning and another man's first great meaning can be created by the same result. The numbers do not whisper gently around this match. They repeat: 19, 1, 9, 8, 5. They appear in ages, dates, shirts, names, and cycles, as though the story keeps striking the same bells from different directions. Let us begin with the man standing at the edge of his final chapter. Lionel Messi was born on June 24th, 1987. Add every digit in his birth date. 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 0 plus 6 plus 2 plus 4 equals 37. 3 plus 7 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. Messi is a life path 1. In numerology, 1 does not enter the world to follow a road. 1 enters the world to create a road. It is the number of the pioneer, the solitary leader, the person who must step forward before anyone else can see where the path leads. That sounds glorious. It is also a burden. The 1 is not allowed to hide inside the crowd. When the team wins, the 1 is expected to be the reason. When the team loses, the 1 becomes the face of the failure. The higher the 1 rises, the more alone the summit becomes. Messi has lived that pattern in public. Every trophy became evidence in a trial. Every defeat became an accusation. Every comparison demanded that he prove, once again, that he was not merely great, but first. The world did not simply watch Messi play football. It placed him inside an endless argument about the meaning of number 1. But his chart hides a second number, and this number changes the emotional meaning of his entire life. Messi was born on the 24th. 2 plus 4 equals 6. 6 is responsibility, loyalty, protection, family, duty, and the weight of carrying other people's hopes. The life path one says, I must become myself. The birthday number 6 says, I must carry everyone with me. That is the contradiction at the heart of Messi's mythology. His 1 made him an individual genius. His 6 made his victories and failures feel collective. He could never be only a man with a ball. He became a vessel for the emotions of Barcelona, Argentina, and millions of people who placed their own memories inside his career. 1 made him shine alone. 6 made him carry a nation. There is also a 3 in his birth pattern. Add the month and day. 6 plus 24 equals 30, and 30 reduces to 3. 3 is expression, imagination, creativity, rhythm, and the ability to turn pressure into art. This is the part of Messi that made impossible moments look quiet. The defender expects violence, and Messi gives him timing. The stadium expects panic, and Messi gives it a touch that seems almost casual. 3 is not the number of force. It is the number of expression, so precise that force becomes unnecessary. Now look at the complete pattern. 1, 6, and 3. The ruler, the carrier, the artist. That combination explains why the final feels so heavy around him. The 1 wants the crown. The 6 wants to deliver it to the people. The 3 wants one final moment beautiful enough to survive after the body can no longer produce it. This is the numerological version of the twilight of the gods. Not because Messi is supernatural, but because sporting legends eventually become larger than the ordinary limits of their own bodies. The public stops seeing the person and begins seeing the era. Every slow step becomes evidence of time. Every flash of brilliance becomes evidence that time has not won yet. The 1 inside Messi has always fought comparison. The 6 has always carried emotional debt. The 3 has always searched for beauty. In a final like this, those 3 forces can pull in opposite directions. 1 may demand that he take responsibility. 6 may demand that he protect the team. 3 may ask him to risk everything for the moment only he can imagine. That creates a dangerous question. Does the old king try to control the final? Or does he wait for the final to reveal the one opening worthy of his last great act? The numbers suggest patience. His greatest power on this day may not come from touching the ball constantly. It may come from understanding which touch must become immortal. And then we reach the year 2026. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6 equals 10, which reduces to 1. The entire year carries a universal 1 vibration, new identity, a reset, the beginning of a fresh cycle. Messi, a life path 1, enters a universal year 1. His natural number is echoed by the year itself. But his personal year is not 1. Add his birth month, his birthday, and the universal year. 6 plus 24 plus 1 equals 31. 3 plus 1 equals 4. Messi is in a personal year 4. 4 is stone. 4 is structure. 4 is discipline, consequence, physical reality, and the test of whether a dream has a foundation strong enough to survive. For a young player, 4 can mean construction. For a 39-year-old legend, 4 can feel like the final inspection of everything he has built. It asks whether experience can compensate for time, whether the body can obey the mind one more time, and whether years of knowledge can hold firm under the heaviest possible pressure. This is not a light cycle. It is not the energy of floating above the game. It is the energy of planting both feet into the earth and refusing to move. The image is almost mythic. The old king does not enter his last battle with the number of youth. He enters with the number of the fortress. For says, you have already built the temple. Now prove it can survive the storm. Across from him stands the player who appears to have stepped out of that storm. Lamine Yamal was born on July 13th, 2007. Add the digits. 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 7 plus 0 plus 7 plus 1 plus 3 equals 20. 2 plus 0 equals 2. Yamal is a life path 2. 2 is often misunderstood because it does not announce itself like 1. 1 enters the room and claims space. 2 enters the room and feels where the energy is moving. 1 breaks the line. 2 senses the exact second when the line is already beginning to break. 2 is intuition, partnership, rhythm, response, timing, and connection. It is the invisible thread between separate pieces. On a football pitch, 2 does not always need to dominate the ball. It can dominate the relationship between players. If Messi's 1 is a blade driven forward by individual will, Yamal's 2 is the hand that waits for the defense to expose its weakest point. He does not need to control every second. He needs 1 second of perfect awareness. His birthday number comes from 13. 1 plus 3 equals 4. 4 appears again, but it plays a different role here. For Yamal, 4 is the structure beneath the miracle. It is the training session no one remembers, the repeated movement, the positional discipline, and the foundation that prevents talent from burning itself out. The world sees the teenager. The number 4 sees the builder inside the teenager. Now add his birth month and day. 7 plus 13 equals 20, which reduces to 2. Yamal has a life path 2 and an attitude number 2. The 2 is doubled. In numerology, repeated numbers behave like an echo inside a chamber. Their qualities become louder. For Yamal, the repeated signal is connection. He reads. He responds. He combines. He becomes dangerous not only because of what he does, but because of what he allows the entire system around him to do. And yet this quiet cooperative 2 is surrounded by the most aggressive number in the entire final, 19. He is 19 years old. He wears 19. He plays on July 19th. The photograph with Messi sits 19 calendar years behind the match. 19 reduces to 10, then 1. The natural 2 is being pushed toward 1. That is the real drama in Yamal's numbers. His deepest pattern says partnership, but the moment around him says coronation. His chart tells him to connect. His age, shirt, and date tell him to become a name that stands alone. Some traditions call 19/1 a karmic lesson about independence, not a curse and not a punishment, but a test. Can a person claim individual power without forgetting the people who made that power possible? Can he become the star without becoming separated from the system that carried him there? That is Yamal's hidden trial. The world is inviting him to become number 1. His life path too must decide how to accept the invitation without betraying itself. This is where the language of new king becomes more than a headline. A crown is not only recognition, it is separation. The moment a young player becomes the symbol of an era, every friendship, every mistake, and every ordinary match begins to carry a different weight. The world that once protected the prodigy begins judging the superstar. Yamal's double 2 wants relationship. 19/1 wants independence. The final places both demands in front of him at once. If he hides inside the system, he may miss the moment that could define him. If he abandons the system to chase personal glory, he may lose the very power that makes him dangerous. That is why his possible coronation is not simply about scoring. It is about identity. Can he remain the connector while the entire world tries to turn him into the center? Can the number 2 accept the throne of number 1 without becoming a different player? His 2026 personal year intensifies the pressure. Add 7, 13, and the universal year 1. The result is 21, which reduces to 3. Yamal is in a personal year 3. 3 is the spotlight. It is visibility, expression, performance, confidence, creativity, and the sudden expansion of a public identity. When 3 is active, the world looks. The microphone moves closer. The face becomes familiar beyond the people who already understood the talent. A 19-year-old in a World Cup final during a personal year 3 is almost too perfect as a symbol. The cycle says, be seen. The match says, be remembered. But 3 carries danger. It can become scattered, intoxicated by attention, or tempted by the spectacular action when the simple action would be more effective. Yamal's birthday. 4 must discipline his personal year 3. The builder must control the performer. So the 2 players enter through opposite gates. Messi is a 1 moving through a 4-year, the ruler inside the fortress. Yamal is a 2 moving through a 3-year, the connector under the brightest light of his life. 1 carries history, 2 carries possibility, 4 asks for endurance, 3 asks for expression. Now we move closer to the day itself, because the final gives each player 1 more personal signal. Messi's personal year is 4. Add July, the 7th month, and the result is 11. 11 can be preserved as a master number or reduced to 2. This gives Messi an 11/2 personal month. Intuition, sensitivity, partnership, and emotional pressure. The life path 1 enters a 2-month. That matters. After a lifetime of being asked to decide everything himself, Messi enters this final under a number that asks him to feel the people around him. His path may not be to force the final open. It may be to recognize the exact teammate, the exact pass, and the exact moment when leadership means releasing control. Add the 19th day to 11. The result is 30, which reduces to 3. Messi's personal day is 3. The artist returns. His attitude number is 3. His age, 39, also reduces to 3. And the final day activates 3 again. This creates a triple expression pattern around him. The possibility of 1 last act of imagination, 1 pass, 1 finish, or 1 piece of football that becomes the image remembered after the final whistle. Yamal's personal year is 3. Add July. And the result is 10, which reduces to 1. His personal month is 1, initiation, identity, and the beginning of a new role. Add the 19th day, and the result is 20, which reduces to 2. Yamal's personal day is 2. The connector returns. Life path 2, attitude 2, personal day 2. The final does not necessarily demand that he score the most dramatic goal. It may ask him to become the hidden mechanism of the match, the pass before the assist, the movement that opens the defense, or the moment of patience that creates space where none existed. This is a strange reversal. Yamal, the natural 2, is surrounded by 1 energy and asked to claim an identity. Messi, the natural 1, enters an 11/2 month and is asked to trust connection. The new star must stand alone. The old star must lean on others. And then the date speaks. July 19th carries 2 different vibrations, depending on how we calculate it. If we use only the month and day, 7 plus 19 equals 26. 2 plus 6 equals 8. 8 is power. 8 is authority, visible achievement, material consequence, status, and the throne. It is the number that does not merely promise meaning. It demands a result that can be held in the hands. On a final day, 8 looks like the trophy. But when we calculate the complete date, something darker appears. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6 plus 0 plus 7 plus 1 plus 9 equals 27. 2 plus 7 equals 9. The complete date is a 9. 9 is the end of the single-digit journey. It is culmination, memory, sacrifice, release, and the closing of a cycle. 9 does not ask who begins. 9 asks what must be completed. For Messi, the symbolism is almost overwhelming. The life path 1, who opened an era, arrives on a full date 9 that closes 1. The pioneer reaches the final page. The old king stands before the last number. But 9 is not automatically victory. Completion can be a crown. Completion can also be a farewell. The circle closes either way. That is why the number 19 is so unsettling. 19 contains both forces. It begins with 1 and ends with 9 before reducing back to 1. The old cycle and the new cycle are trapped inside the same number. Look again at the pattern. Yamal is 19. He wears 19. The final is on the 19th. The 2007 photograph sits 19 years behind the match. Messi stands under 9. Yamal stands inside 19/1. The photograph did not predict this final. It was a charity image, not a prophecy. But symbols do not need to cause an event in order to make the event feel extraordinary. A young Messi, not yet the completed legend, appears beside a child who would one day meet him in a World Cup final. 19 years later, the image returns as though history has folded the beginning and the ending into the same frame. The baby becomes the challenger. The young star becomes the old king. The number 19 becomes the bridge. Now place the countries into the calculation. Using the English Pythagorean letter system, the name Argentina totals 44, which reduces to 8. 44/8 is a heavy vibration. It is structure, authority, organization, pressure, control, and power made visible. The month and day vibration of the final is also 8. Argentina 44/8 meets a final day 8. That is the strongest numerical argument for Argentina. The country's name matches the surface vibration of the day associated with the trophy. 8 recognizes 8. Power meets the date of power. Spain tells a completely different story. The English name Spain totals 23, which reduces to 5. 5 is movement, speed, unpredictability, freedom, disruption, and the force that breaks an established order. And this is the 23rd Men's World Cup. Spain 23/5 enters the 23rd World Cup. That is the strongest numerical argument for Spain. The country mirrors the edition number of the tournament itself. 5 meets 5. Change enters the tournament of change. Now, the final becomes larger than 2 players. Argentina is 44/8, the throne, the institution, the power that wants to remain standing. Spain is 23/5, the storm, the disruption, the force that refuses to remain still. The old king is protected by 8. The young challenger is carried by 5. This is the throne against the storm. Now, imagine how those numbers might look once the ball begins to move. 8 does not like chaos. 8 wants territory, control, hierarchy, and consequence. An Argentina final shaped by 8 would feel heavy from the opening minutes. Every duel would matter. Every pause would become a way to reduce Spain's speed. The match would slowly narrow until one mistake, one set piece, or one moment of Messi's 3 energy becomes the gate to the trophy. 5 wants the opposite. 5 wants the match to breathe too quickly for authority to settle. It wants changing angles, sudden acceleration, and decisions made before the defender has fully understood the previous movement. A Spain final shaped by 5 would feel unstable. The danger would not come from one fixed pattern. It would come from the refusal to repeat the same attack twice. Yamal's 2 energy becomes most dangerous inside that movement. He is not the storm itself. He is the intelligence inside the storm. He feels where the pressure has moved and sends the ball toward the space it has abandoned. The crowd may see speed. The 2 sees relationship. Messi's 3 energy becomes most dangerous when the movement stops for a fraction of a second. 3 sees the surprising line, the disguised touch, the action that turns a rigid structure into an image of beauty. The crowd may see stillness. The 3 sees possibility. This means the match may contain 2 different clocks. Spain will try to accelerate the visible clock. Argentina will try to slow the emotional clock. Yamal wants the next opening to appear immediately. Messi wants the final opening to be the one that matters. If the final becomes slow, physical, controlled, and emotionally heavy Argentina's 8 and Messi's 4 grow stronger. For builds the wall. 8 claims the result. Messi's personal day 3 waits for the single creative opening that turns discipline into destiny. If the final becomes fast, open, unstable, and constantly changing, Spain's 5 grows stronger. 5 wins through movement. Yamal's repeated 2 reads the spaces created by that movement and connects the action at the exact point where Argentina loses balance. There is also a third possibility, and it is the most dramatic of all. Spain's 5 may control the rhythm first. The young team may create the movement, the danger, and the feeling that a new era has already arrived. But the match may turn late when Argentina's 8 converts one moment into a material result, and the full date 9 closes the story. In that version, change creates the chaos, power takes the trophy, and completion writes the final line. So which current is stronger? Let us place everything on the scale. For Spain, Yamal's personal year 3 brings visibility and breakthrough. His personal day 2 perfectly repeats his life path and attitude numbers. His age and shirt carry 19/1 in a universal year 1. Spain's 23/5 matches the 23rd World Cup. The entire pattern screams change, movement, and the birth of a new identity. For Argentina, Messi's life path 1 is echoed by the universal year 1. His personal year 4 supports endurance, structure, and the final test of a lifetime's work. His personal day 3 repeats his expressive number and his age vibration. Argentina's 44/8 matches the month and day 8. And the complete date 9 carries the unmistakable symbolism of a legendary cycle reaching completion. Spain has the cleaner beginning. Argentina has the heavier ending. Spain's numbers feel like lightning. Argentina's numbers feel like gravity. And gravity, on this date, holds the smallest advantage. My final numerology reading is 55% Argentina, 45% Spain. Not a guarantee, not a fixed result, a narrow symbolic lean. The deciding factor is the 9. 9 is not the number of a casual victory. It is the number of the final chapter, the completed journey, the story that has carried enough history to deserve an ending. Combined with Argentina's 8 and Messi's repeated 3 on the day, it creates the stronger image of a visible, emotional conclusion. The reading suggests that Messi may produce the moment remembered most clearly, a final pass, a finish, a set piece, or an act of creativity that carries the energy of 3. It also suggests that Yamal may be decisive even without becoming the scorer. His triple 2 pattern points toward connection, timing, and the action that unlocks another player. The old king may receive the crown. The new king may reveal himself anyway. If Argentina wins, 9 becomes completion, 8 becomes the trophy, and Messi's 1 receives its final confirmation. If Spain wins, 9 becomes the end of the old age, 19 becomes the beginning of the new one, and Spain's 23/5 becomes the signature of a tournament that chose change over continuity. Either result closes the circle. That is the true power of this finals numbers. They do not give us one simple prophecy. They give us one unavoidable transition. The opening question now has an answer. The full reading leans narrowly toward Argentina, but it does not erase the powerful beginning gathering around Spain and Yamal. When the match starts, watch for the contrast we uncovered. Argentina trying to give the game weight, Spain trying to make it move, Messi searching for one final act of expression, and Yamal searching for the connection that opens the future. Then let the football itself decide what the numbers could never guarantee. You can leave your prediction in the comments, but there is no need to force every touch into a sign. Whatever the result, one remarkable era will meet another, and the story will belong to the people who live it on the pitch. Thank you for spending this time with Hidden Number Files, and take care until we meet again.